America's prison system is home to some of the most notorious and dangerous gangs in the world. These groups didn't emerge overnight, nor were they created by chance. What began as a need for protection in the violent, overcrowded environment of U.S. prisons soon turned into something far more powerful. Organized criminal empires that controlled everything from drugs and weapons to entire sections of the prison itself. The roots of prison gangs in the United States date back to the 1960s. At that time, prisons were becoming increasingly overcrowded and racial tensions were high. One of the first significant prison gangs to emerge during this period was the Aryan Brotherhood. Formed by a group of white inmates seeking to protect themselves from other racial groups, the Aryan Brotherhood quickly grew into a force to be reckoned with inside California's prisons. What started as a way to ensure survival soon morphed into a highly organized gang with far-reaching influence both within the walls of the prison and beyond. The Aryan Brotherhood wasn't the only gang to rise to power during this time. As the years went on, two of the most infamous street gangs in America, the Bloods and the Crips, found their way behind bars. The Bloods, originally a Los Angeles-based group, and their rivals, the Crips, made the leap into the prison system in the 1980s. Once inside, the rivalry between the two gangs exploded, intensifying their grip on the California prison system. What began as a violent street war in Los Angeles grew into something much larger, an organized criminal empire within the prison walls. These gangs were not only focused on violence, they quickly became involved in drug trafficking, weapons smuggling, and extortion, using their power to dominate the prison economy. But their influence didn't stop there. They began to exercise control over the prison's daily life. One of the defining features of prison gangs is their hierarchical structure. At the top were the leaders often serving life sentences, who controlled the activities inside the prison and on the outside. These leaders, despite being physically separated from their street associates, had immense power. They communicated with their lieutenants and soldiers through coded letters, phone calls, and even through family members who acted as intermediaries. The gang's power only grew as the years passed. They established territories within prisons, which were divided by race, ethnicity, or even crime type. The Aryan Brotherhood ruled over white inmates, while the Bloods and Crips controlled different sectors of the prison population. Gangs like the Mexican Mafia and La Nuestra Familia began to establish their dominance over the Latino inmates, further fragmenting the prison population. As gang control expanded, the violence grew even more extreme. Prison stabbings and beatings became routine, with the gangs controlling all aspects of the violence. They even controlled the prison black market, where inmates could purchase weapons, drugs, and contraband. The prison system became a highly organized ecosystem of crime and control, with the gangs at the top of the hierarchy. These deadly gangs were more than just a prison problem, they were a nationwide issue. They had infiltrated every part of society, using their power to manipulate not just the prison system, but the criminal justice system itself. The rise of these gangs, born from fear and necessity, became a symbol of the systemic problems within the U.S. prison system. The blood they spilled didn't just stain the walls of the prison, it spilled into the streets and into the lives of those who lived far beyond the prison gates. As prison gangs grew in strength, their grip on the system became harder to break. Yet, the walls of the prison are alive with power, but it's not the guards or the warden who control the inmates. It's the gangs. Within the bars and concrete, certain groups have risen to dominate every corner of the institution. Their influence runs deeper than anyone outside could imagine. And they are not just looking for survival, they're looking for complete control. As prison overcrowding surged, the control these gangs had over both the prison system and their incarcerated members grew exponentially. Prison life became a struggle for dominance, with inmates forming alliances based on shared beliefs, racial lines, or survival instincts. Over time, these groups morphed from being small survival units to highly organized criminal enterprises that ruled prison yards, controlled drug trade, and instigated violence both inside and out. One of the most notorious gangs inside U.S. prisons is the Aryan Brotherhood, a white supremacist gang that controls a large portion of the nation's prison population. Its origins date back to the late 1960s at San Quentin, a maximum security facility in California. Born out of a need to protect white inmates in a prison dominated by Black and Latino gangs, the Aryan Brotherhood quickly became much more than just a group of men fighting for survival. They started making money off illegal activities like drug trafficking, extortion, and even murder for hire. The Aryan Brotherhood's dominance was not limited to prisons, it extended far beyond the walls. They built criminal networks that ran drug smuggling operations, human trafficking, and money laundering. Although many members were serving life sentences in solitary confinement, they still managed to run operations from behind bars through messages passed between fellow inmates, visitors, and corrupt prison guards. But the Aryan Brotherhood wasn't the only gang making waves. The Bloods and Crips, street gangs from Los Angeles, began to find their way into the prison system in the 1980s. These two gangs, locked in a violent rivalry for control of the streets, brought their battles behind bars. The Crips, known for their blue colors, and the Bloods, their red-clad enemies, quickly asserted control over sections of the prison system. What started as a territorial dispute between Black inmates outside of prison became a full-fledged war that reverberated inside. Inmates in prison were forced to pick sides. These gangs would determine who got to sit at what table in the mess hall, who could use the phone, and who had access to the black market. Even if an inmate didn't want to join a gang, simply being affiliated with another group was dangerous. Gangs like the Crips and Bloods thrived on violence and intimidation, pushing weaker individuals into their ranks. Resistance meant facing brutal punishment or death. The Mexican Mafia and La Nuestra Familia, two powerful Latino gangs, also rose to power inside the prison walls. These groups typically control Latino inmates and, much like their Black counterparts, they've become key players in the prison's underground economy. The Mexican Mafia, in particular, has a reputation for its ruthless approach to controlling drug trade, protection rackets, and extortion, especially in Southern California prisons. They often act as intermediaries between rival gangs, leveraging their influence to keep the prison's economy functioning under their control. The violence in these gangs isn't just about survival, it's about maintaining power. An inmate who disrespects the gang, refuses to follow orders, or shows weakness is swiftly punished, sometimes with death. Within the confines of a prison where the warden and guards are too overwhelmed to intervene, these gangs dictate their own form of justice. The blood spilled on the prison floor isn't just a byproduct of gang wars, it's a tool to ensure loyalty and obedience. But what's truly terrifying about these gangs is how they operate outside the prison system. Though many gang members serve life sentences, their reach extends far beyond the walls. The Aryan Brotherhood, for example, has managed to infiltrate drug cartels, influencing drug flows into major cities across the U.S. They maintain their control through coded messages passed between incarcerated members and criminal associates on the outside. Similarly, the Bloods and Crips have established themselves as criminal enterprises, running street-level drug operations, extortion, and robbery rings, all while communicating with fellow inmates and their allies outside. Inside the prison yard, these gangs dictate the rules. The strongest survive, and the weak become pawns in the gang wars. What might seem like a normal prison fight is often a choreographed battle for dominance, designed to test loyalty and obedience. It's a system where personal identity is erased, replaced by a simple question: which gang do you belong to? Some prisoners join these gangs out of necessity, while others do it for the power and protection that comes with affiliation. But whatever the reason, once you're in, getting out is nearly impossible. Exiting a gang could mean putting your life at risk. Members are marked for death if they try to leave, especially if they are viewed as traitors. Gang members live in fear of retribution, constantly looking over their shoulder, knowing that their fellow inmates, or even those on the outside, are watching their every move. But the violence and manipulation are only part of the story. These gangs also create a kind of twisted community. For many inmates, the gang is the only family they have left. It offers belonging, protection, and a sense of power in a world that often strips them of their humanity. For the leaders, it's a way to make money, expand influence, and control vast criminal networks. For the foot soldiers, it's often about survival, following orders, committing crimes, and protecting the gang at all costs. The real horror is not just the blood that is spilled in the yard or the hallways. It's the system that has allowed these gangs to flourish. It's the fact that these groups are allowed to operate inside the prison system without significant intervention. Prison reform efforts have struggled to control gang influence, but the deeper issue remains. As long as the system remains overcrowded, underfunded, and overwhelmed, gangs will continue to grow and thrive. The prison system isn't just a place for punishment anymore. It's become a breeding ground for criminal empires, with gangs that operate like well-oiled machines. These gangs don't just control the prisoners, they control the drugs, the violence, and the economy within the prison walls. As long as the prison system remains broken, the bloodshed will continue, and the gangs will keep growing stronger. The question is, will the system ever be able to break the hold these gangs have on America's jails? Or is it too late to stop them from becoming a permanent part of the prison landscape? The power and influence of prison gangs are not just confined to the walls of correctional facilities. While the public often thinks of these gangs as dangerous groups locked away behind bars, the truth is far more chilling. These criminal organizations have stretched their influence far beyond the prison yard, creating a web of control that touches the streets, the drug trade, and even political systems. The gangs that began as small survival groups have evolved into full-fledged criminal empires, fueled by violence, greed, and a ruthless desire for control. The Aryan Brotherhood, Bloods, Crips, and Mexican Mafia. All of these gangs, once confined to prison yards, now operate as national and even international crime syndicates. Their leaders, often serving life sentences in solitary confinement, still command vast networks of criminal activity through messages sent via intermediaries, corrupt prison guards, and even family members. The blood that these gangs spill behind bars isn't just about dominance, it's about expanding their criminal empires beyond the prison walls. As the years have passed, prison gangs have found new ways to manipulate the system. Through smuggling, extortion, and drug trafficking, these gangs control not only the flow of illegal goods inside the prison, but also the operations that occur outside. The Aryan Brotherhood, for example, has made billions of dollars off its drug empire, trafficking cocaine, methamphetamine, and marijuana across state lines. While many of the gang's leaders remain locked away, they have set up sophisticated systems of communication to ensure their empire keeps running. Prison guards, prison staff, and even people on the outside are recruited to serve the interests of these gangs. Bribery, threats, and the promise of power keep the system in place. If a guard is compromised, the gang has access to everything from contraband to vital information that can be used to manipulate inmates or law enforcement. The gang's reach is extensive, making it nearly impossible for authorities to completely dismantle their operations. The corruption runs deep, creating a system where fear and loyalty drive everything. The worst part? The gangs know they can count on the brokenness of the system to keep them safe. The Bloods and Crips, despite their ongoing rivalry, have both established incredibly profitable and dangerous criminal enterprises that operate in prisons, on the streets, and in major cities across the United States. The Crips, in their infamous blue colors, are involved in drug distribution, arms trafficking, and robberies, while the Bloods control large sections of the heroin and cocaine trade. In prison, these gangs dictate who gets to move freely, who gets access to the black market, and who gets to control the day-to-day operation of the prison economy. But what is even more disturbing is the way these gangs exploit vulnerable individuals, often the very people they claim to protect. Prisoners seeking safety and security are often coerced into joining these gangs. Refusal to comply often results in brutal consequences. Violence, intimidation, and even murder are the tools used to maintain order within the gang's ranks. The idea is simple: join the gang and survive, or risk being completely isolated, subject to violence from every side. There's no middle ground. The prison system, which was originally designed as a place for rehabilitation and justice, has instead become a playground for gang leaders who use their control to manipulate the lives of those behind bars. Inmates often live under constant pressure, forced to align with one gang or risk being cast out. Prison gangs don't just control the day-to-day life of their members, they enforce their own rules, punish their own members, and deal out justice based on their own codes. But what happens when one gang's power threatens the others? In prison, this leads to wars. The violence between gangs inside the prison system is a constant battle for supremacy. When gang leaders are transferred to new prisons, rival gangs can clash, leading to full-scale riots. These riots are often orchestrated by the gang leaders, who issue orders to their members to attack rival factions. The fights aren't just about territory, they are about resources, control, and the dominance of a single ideology. For inmates trapped in the middle, these gang wars can be deadly. Even though the authorities are aware of the gang violence and corruption, taking decisive action has been difficult. The gangs are entrenched in the system, with decades of influence over how prisons operate. Gang leaders have their hands in the pockets of prison staff, and any attempt to reform or disband these gangs is met with resistance from both the gangs and some corrupt officials. For the families of those trapped inside, the situation seems hopeless. There's nowhere for their loved ones to turn for protection, except the very groups that control the prison system's dark underbelly. The truth about these prison gangs is that their influence continues to spread far beyond the bars that confine their members. Their ability to control not only the prison system, but also entire neighborhoods, cities, and criminal enterprises shows just how deep the roots of gang violence run in America. Prison is no longer just a place to house criminals, it's a breeding ground for criminal empires that extend beyond the prison walls. While authorities have made some efforts to curb gang violence, the reality is that these gangs have already infiltrated the very fabric of the system. The blood they spill doesn't just stain the prison walls, it has spread to the streets, where it continues to fuel drug trade, violence, and crime. The question remains, what will it take to stop these gangs from further entrenching themselves in society? With each passing day, the empire of blood they've created grows stronger, and the hope for real reform fades further away. This story is far from over. The gang's reign continues, and as long as the system remains broken, they will continue to thrive, both behind bars and beyond. The real battle has only just begun. Thank you for watching. If you were shocked by the power and control of these prison gangs, make sure to hit that like button and share this video with someone who needs to know the truth. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a dark and revealing story like this. What do you think it will take to break the grip of these dangerous gangs? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about it. And remember, the truth is often darker than we think, but it's out there. Stay tuned for the next chapter, because this story isn't over yet.